This is the show where we talk about NFTs and smart contracts with Doc and Brent. Today, we're going to be talking about Coinfluence. We're going to be talking about the new Build Space turn-based NFT game that I'm building out and all your questions with smart contracts and NFTs. So we're going to get right into it. And before we do that, we're going to, of course, check in with Brent. How are we doing today, man?
We are good. And if you all are watching, have questions, Doc and I have talked about it, and we're going to start bringing some of the new happenings in the NFT smart contract space to you all through these conversations. So if you know about an NFT or you have questions about a particular smart contract, send it to us, and we will do our best to research it and actually probably host it on one of the shows.
Good times. So right now, what we're going to be talking about is just a few different things. We're going to go into Coinfluence, and then also to what we're going to be looking at is Manson that we're going to be looking at, and looking at a couple different opportunities there. And then, of course, where we're going to be talking about the new project where you're creating a mini turn-based NFT browser game with Build Space. So, Brent, where do you want to start? Should we start with Coinfluence or what?
Yeah, we can start on Coinfluence.
Okay, cool. If you don't mind, could you tell the good people where you found this and a little bit about this project?
Yeah, so the Coinfluence project is a pretty interesting use case. They are trying to match new coins with influencers in the industry, but they're not just going for the normal influencers or people who you and I might know, but they're talking about pretty much superstar celebrities, and they're taking their platforms and they're using those platforms as amplifiers for new coins. In exchange for that, the new coins, of course, pay them. In exchange for them paying them, they pay them through what? The Coinfluence coin, which is symbol CFLU, I believe. I found it, through the Investing Education Academy's Crypto Bulls group, and that's how I found it. So we had it on one of our masterminds and looked a little bit further and started really uncovering the power of this. And right now, you're talking about there's over 13,000 or so tradable coins in the cryptocurrency ecosystem. And if you compare that or liken it to the stock market, you're talking about the stock market has about 6,000 stocks that you can transact. So this is a huge space. So anytime you can bring clarity and expand your reach, you're winning.
Interesting. So, what was the project? I have some pros and cons with it so far, but I just so everyone knows, remember, this is not investing advice. We are talking about what we're finding, all of those things. Some of the projects we do talk about, we might have invested in or currently investing. We'll talk about it if we have. But again, do your own research and all of those things. So when we talk about this Coinfluence and all this stuff, Coinfluence, it's catchy. It makes sense what they did right there. So I'm going to go through the process of buying these things, what I liked and what I didn't like. Is that all right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Because I could say the same thing.
All right, cool. So what I'm going to do is real quick, let me just bring this up.
And while you're pulling it out, full disclosure, this is a coin that we currently own. Mm-hmm. So, still do your research and please don't take what we do here as the gospel. You have to make sure it's suitable to your needs and what you want to do with your portfolio.
Yep, exactly. So right here, as you can see, what we're doing is, this is just my notes. This is just my notes. Whenever I'm doing different things, hold on one second, put this over here. As you can see, I'm just either doing different things. I'm looking at different things, how to buy, just different things, what we're looking at, just because I'm always, there's people throw out these terms or different things. And I'm like, I need more context or I need to know how to do these things. So I just usually throw it into this document. So right here, how to buy, there's a couple different steps that even though they show you the video how to do it, I didn't find it that helpful because I had to keep slowing it down and look at other things. So the real thing is setting it up, your MetaMask for BTC. That was one of the hardest parts I found. That wasn't just very easy to do. And then finding this article from Binance.com, that was an easy way to copy and paste because their videos, how you do it, went so fast in the YouTube video. I'm like, I don't like this.
Oh yeah, I had to watch it at I think 75% slower speed.
Yeah. It was ridiculous. This version, when you're using Binance, you can just copy and paste. They should have had it in the description of their YouTube video, copy and paste these things, or a link to their website. Here's the parameters to put in. There you go. So there is this part that to buy the coin, do all those things, yada, yada, yada. The second point that I was going to say is, did you sign up as an affiliate? Did you go in and create an account or no?
No, I didn't go in and create an account.
So creating an account there was an error with that as well. Now, to be fair, they're saying that what did you say, Brent? Like it's phase like 13, out of 100, right? Yeah. So I'm not expecting this to be perfect at all. I view this as a very a lot of work in progress as well. So when they're having errors, it's not anything like alarming. I would say there's more fly-by-night NFT projects and websites that you have to look out for versus something like this. And again, we're still going through this, and we'll go into this next part in a second. But that's what's going on.
And Doc, while you have this page up, one thing to note for anybody who's watching this and thinking, how does this thing make money? And right now, they're projected to go through 100 phases of improvement and scaling in that growth, as however you want to sum it up. But some of that is going to include technological advances, like getting better. Because right now, there are a lot of things to be desired that have been left off the table in regards to making this transaction of buying this coin smooth. But they're at phase 13 of 100. At phase 13, you're talking about the price being roughly 0.02224 cents per coin. Now, why does that matter? Why is it important for you? Because each phase they go through, they're slightly increasing the price. I mean, it's negligible at this price point, but you should be aware that the price is going up. So when they get to phase 13 and 14, it will be 0.0238 cents. So again, you're probably looking going, okay, that's not a big deal. It's not rocket science. That will add up because they're saying by the time they get to full phase, it's going to be roughly 14 cents per share. That's over like a 1,000% rate of return. So again, for some of you all who are thinking like, I don't understand why that matters. It matters significantly. So when you get in, how you get in, it will determine, how much you're profitable. And again, just to warn everybody out there, this is a cryptocurrency. This thing could be gone tomorrow. So please don't, bring out your mortgage payment checks, or, you're not giving the baby food, or you're using the money that you needed for gas or whatever it might be, electricity. Don't do that because this coin can be gone tomorrow. It's an investment and you should use risk capital.
Yeah, that's a good point. I saw someone in a Discord channel. Someone's like, hey, should I invest in this before I get a laptop? And someone's like, bro, if you're in here without a laptop, you need to go buy a laptop. Stop trying to get this stuff in crypto. Like, this is true. Stop trying to put money into this thing that it's going to work all the time. It's just, if you live on that kind of lifestyle, you're going to be hurting worse than you are, hands down. I just could not believe that. But you know what? I was teaching the other day, and someone was like, I don't know which laptop I should buy. They're in a no-code building class. I'm like, why would you join a class that if you don't have a laptop yet? I'm dead serious. I know you can do a lot with your phone, but this is out of control now. This is out of control. So it seems very basic, exactly what Brent was saying. So there are a few things that I do have questions on.
Yeah.
That I'm looking at. This is a pretty bullish idea, which I'm not opposed to this. It makes a lot of sense of consolidating, doing all those things. I have to do more research on reading the white paper, and actually talking to people that are proficient at going through white papers, just because everything looks good. Um, but there are just still some things I'm like, I wonder about some things. So if you have any, if have you gone through their white paper at all?
Yeah, I did. And just for anybody who's wondering what a white paper is, it's normally a document that tells what the use case is for most cryptos. However, very important piece in the cryptocurrency ecosystem, they liken this to a prospectus in the stock world. And if anybody's familiar with a prospectus, it tells what the company's doing, how they plan on growing, everything else. The difference in these two documents is the fact that a prospectus is normally regulated and overseen by the SEC, Securities Exchange Commission. These white papers are regulated by the CEOs who run the company. So more than likely, if you run the company and you want people to invest in your product, you might unintentionally, not saying anybody did it. So let's be clear. I'm not saying anything about Coinfluence. I'm just simply saying in general, a person who's writing their own documentation, it serves as an advertisement to the world to come invest. So it might be skewed in their favor. Just be warned.
Makes sense. Makes sense. And so again, and thank you for that detailed response. That makes a lot of sense to me. This is so I'm looking at this. I'm like, this looks nice. This is great. Makes a lot of sense to me. Two things that just I think again, this is very optimistic. But I'm looking at this where it's saying 100 phases completed. The Pancake Swap listing. We'll talk about Pancake Swap or Sushi Swap in a moment if anyone wants to see it. But listing will be on November 17th, right? So two things. I'm seeing that it's saying after 100 phases, and then I'm saying we'll be on November 17th. This throws me off a little bit because I'm seeing phase 13 out of 100. I'm seeing after 100 phases and then listing on November 17th. That kind of does not compute to me. Now, of course, could they go through more phases in the next? I mean, it's end of October. Could something happen in the news? Listen, you already know crypto space can just go crazy. Could they announce something? Now more people invest. They fly through these phases, all of these things. But when I'm looking at this, I'm like, oh, okay. There's something that's going on. Now, I would love for them to say, hey, we're going to go through it, and then we'll announce the date. But I'm saying like either it's two things in my head. Number one, it's cognitive dissonance where the team is pushing so hard. They're like, we're going to make it. And I'm like, okay, they're in a startup. They're in a vacuum. They're not even understanding what they're saying. Or it's a simple, we're working so hard. We just haven't updated this section. The issue that I have with that is all of this looks like it's live and it's constantly being updated. So I think that this section should also be corresponding to being updated on their timeline. What do you think about that, Brent?
No, 100% agree. I don't think they're going to hit the November 17th deadline. And actually, this is great. Keep checking back because we can have these conversations as it gets closer. Yeah. But, looking at how many, because what I did, I looked at when they started, right?
Yeah.
So if they've been doing this for like 2 years, last 2 years, and really in development for the last year or so, hardcore, and they're at phase 13, it's highly unlikely that they're going to hit 90 some more or 87 more phases in the next, 23 days. So, but I will say this, and this is really typical of any startup, especially in a startup that's in a very aggressive and competitive space. They want to push as hard as they can. And what happens when people build these teams from an internal working standpoint, the development team is telling the CEOs what they want to hear just so they don't lose their job. Yep. They're telling the CEOs what they want to hear because the CEO said they wanted it done by the 17th. And they're trying to say, yeah, we can do it when they probably already know internally it's no way in hell they can do that. Yeah. But they're not updating it. They're hoping for the best. And maybe then there's a second school of thought. They might take the Microsoft approach. And anybody who knows Microsoft will release a product before it's really ready for consumer use. And they'll just give you a call number or they'll ask you to send in any error codes and they'll fix it on the fly. Yeah. And so, it's one of those.
Which brings us to this next part of CoinFluence. After going through it, you do the transaction, you go through the BTC and everything like that. It clearly says after you buy it, they're like, hey, if this doesn't work, message us because we'll transfer the funds and everything like that within like, I think 12 or 15 minutes. I hit up support. Now, just to be fair, they're letting you know as you're buying it, hey, if this doesn't happen, just contact us. So I can't really be mad at that.
Well, Doc, I will say this. They let you know after you hit the button.
Yeah, after you buy it.
After you buy it.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, before everything looks great. And then obviously something's going on because if you look at it in different sections, so you can see it in their Reddit group, people talking about the coin, different things like that. It's pretty common. Now, they are giving you, transferring it to your MetaMask, but it looks like they're doing it more manually, which this is what I like to call in the startup phase where it's the man behind the curtain phase, where everything looks like it's there, or the Wizard of Oz effect. A lot of people call it different things. But the thing is, don't pay attention to anyone behind the curtain. That means that something internally, I suspect, is not working. Everything else is to a point. And so now they are still having manual people on the team doing the transactions because either the automation or something's going on with the smart contract that is just not processing or not on live on chain or something like that.
Yeah.
So again, we'll check back on this. This is interesting. I thought I was like, okay, well, this is, I at least when I'm looking at this project, it has a upside of, I'm like, this is different than what a lot of coins are doing. This makes sense to me. To be continued. To be continued.
I'm cool. All right. So we're gonna move on. If anybody has any questions about this, let us know, and we can either bring it back up next week, or we can maybe talk offline in our Discord group.
Yep. Sounds great. Sounds great. All right. So we got that one. We're done with that for today. Now we're going to be talking about, I'm not getting sponsored by them. We just like them a lot. And again, it's looking at build space. There's a couple things why I do like this project. And I'm going to go through a couple things that they keep adding. And number one, it says work in Web3. They also are connecting people that are finishing their program to get interviews and jobs, which I thought that was pretty interesting. Again, this is cutting edge. People in the class, when they're finishing, they're getting a lot of good job interviews, stuff like that. I thought that was cool.
Doc, real quick, what is Web3?
So Web3, that's a very interesting question. It's very similar to like if someone says like, what is like low code or no code, or what is Web 2? Essentially, Web 3 is the next transformation of what the web will be like. Web 1 was late 90s. Web 2 is basically when the ushering in into mobile and doing e-commerce and everything like that. That was basically Web 2. Web 3 has to do with, and it's a very broad term, and depending on who you talk to, this is why I'm setting the stage. It just depends who you talk to. But Web 3 basically means AI, machine learning, and crypto.
Okay.
More or less. There might be some other ones that people might say, hey, wait, augmented reality is in it. I'm like, bro, augmented probably going, I mean, yes, it's here, but let's be realistic. It's probably going to be at the end of Web 3, probably going to be on 4. You know what I'm saying? Like, and this go into like metaverse and all this stuff. I'm like, yes, we all are buying stuff in metaverse. I understand this, but right now it doesn't look like Ready Player One. Okay, so let's be honest with this. So that's the next pushing of Web 3. So what you hear a lot in crypto, most people do the association of Web 3 having to do with crypto. It can, but it also can do with machine learning and AI.
Got it.
Yep. So Web 3, they're preparing you for this, and really they're going heavy on crypto. I mean, their group has just jumped off the charts. And this one is creating your own mini turn-based NFT browser game, which is pretty interesting. So you're using a lot of concepts that you're doing in NFTs anyway, but there are a lot of play-to-earn games, things like that, that are in crypto and things like that are coming up. So this is another example. I'm going to be starting this probably on stream, like either tonight or tomorrow. I've done a lot of the other ones before, so I think I should have a pretty good grasp. And as soon as I say that, I know I'm probably going to struggle. So this is the one that we're going to be working on this week and all of those things. But again, the more you understand that it's not just, it's just not, it's not just, oh, NFTs are going. It's understanding what you can do with this technology. That's important. How you can invest, why people care about it, what's going on. And if you're looking at it, you can do it on Ethereum, but they're also expanding, which I'm a big fan of. And this is why I'm investing in Solana now, because there's a lot of, you hear people, and I'm not sure if I'm even saying it correctly, where you hear a lot of people, well, what's the utility of this, or what's the functionality of it? Okay, well, Solana is a totally different case study and totally different things you could do than what Ethereum just cannot do. It's not built what Solana can do. So it's totally different, and that's why I'm interested in doing things on the blockchain with Solana, doing stuff with like Chainlink and stuff like that. So that's what we got on this side this week.
Yeah. And anybody who's looking to say utility and all these, they're hearing these terms. Most coins have a utility behind them. And cryptocurrency, I think, is like the worst name for them ever. But in reality, there are many technology companies. And, when you look at these many technology companies, what are you going to look at if you were to look at any technology company? What do you do? What does the company do? Why is it useful? That's why we look at the use case of it to see, what function does it have that people would either want, or maybe competition's doing better or more of. So just understand, when you look at Solana, it has a much faster processor than Ethereum right now, because I think Ethereum's working on coming out with a new version to fight that. But then also Bitcoin too. Bitcoin's like the slowest, but Bitcoin has the biggest market share. I think Bitcoin has like roughly 50% of the entire cryptocurrency market share, which probably has even increased recently because of the release of the ETFs, and also with some of the government starting to back Bitcoin as a currency.
Could you talk about what ETF is, what it stands for?
Yeah, electronically transacted fund. And so these funds, they're like mini mutual funds. So if anybody knows old school mutual funds, it's just a collection of stocks or a collection of bonds, but you can buy it as a unit. So now they're actually creating these ETFs for Bitcoin. Now, again, if you want to know what maybe one of them are, you can come over to our Discord group and I'll put out the name of it. But the biggest piece is you can now invest in it by not investing directly in Bitcoin. So that's huge. There's disadvantages and advantages, and we'll talk about them in the Discord group.
Good times. The other thing I was going to mention, no matter, so there's a couple things, right? So, and you hear what, the long awaited, what Ethereum is going to do to speed up the network. So if we're looking at it just as a layering system and what different systems can do and what they can't do, what Ethereum is essentially going to do to speed it up, you're still looking at another layer that they're trying to put on top of it. It is not going to fundamentally change what the structure of Ethereum is, right? So when you're looking at the transactions, Ethereum can do roughly 8 to 11 transactions per second, roughly. You're looking at Solana, I think, is clocked at around 50,000 transactions per second. I have to look in my notes, but it is a lot more. Let me see about this.
When you think about the speed, you also want to think about security.
Yeah.
And also like the infrastructure that it's built on. Ethereum still has a very huge infrastructure. And when you talk about cryptocurrencies being created, Bitcoin has the biggest market share. Ethereum has the most coins written in their script than any other coin.
Yeah. So,
it's each, and then Solana comes along and it's the fastest. And so it's you have these players in here and they're all fighting for their position. This is why you need to be part of groups like this, because, smart NFTs and these smart contracts, they have to live on something. They have to sit on this blockchain, and how they get processed and all, everything connected to it is important. So Yeah, you can play it on your own if you like, but it's a lot of information to digest.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Exactly right. Yeah, there's I checked it. It is clocked at, so Bitcoin is 7 transactions per second. Ethereum's 8 to 11. Benchmarking is 50,000 transactions, which is the same as like Amex or something like that.
Mhm.
So you're seeing the difference. And again, Solana, they're using it. They're using the CEOs, or the ones, if you're listening to how they talk about it, is very different than the other ones. Now, I'm sure if you talk to every founder of every crypto, they're going to say that it's different. Yeah. But the way how the founder thought about the way that interacts and when people are doing transactions, it is fundamentally different than the other ones. I think also too, consciously or subconsciously, when you're hearing him talk, either he's from Russia or Russian descent. A lot of the things he's talking about, the way that he figured out how to do it, is based off of like missile defense from Cold War. A lot of these founders never grew up with that. They weren't in the country that. So you can hear, or you can see their thought process. This is why it might be from the surface like, it's just this, it's just that. These are fundamentally different. And so Solana is built to do totally different things. Now, some people are building on it and now they're making it more friendly for developers for sure. And that's why there's an increase. But Ethereum, like Brent was saying, it's they've already made it the easiest or the most proficient. People are adopting it at a higher rate just because of all the documentation and all the years people have already put out help to guides, how to do it using hard hat, doing all of these things. So there is that. All right, cool. So Brent, I've got 2 more things. We can go into 2 different options. I can go through this course and step by step how I'm going to do it, or we can talk about Nansen and a couple of things that I'm looking in that field. What would you like me to do?
Let's do this. Let's push Manson to next week,
Okay.
and let's talk about your project.
Okay, cool. All right, let's do it. So the project that we have going on here, and again, if you want to, you can always sign up. Where's my link to this thing? Again, this is free. So if you want to try it, I'll drop it in the chat right now. Let me put it in the chat. Put it in the chat. Okay, on Twitter, I'll put it on there too. I'll have to do it manually. But if you want to join, this is what's happening. So you link your Discord account, you can connect your wallet, because once you finish, then you're going to be actually getting you actually get an NFT when you finish your project, right? So that's showing that you actually completed it. And then again, you can be showing that off to your investors, or if you're going for a job, or just for completion. I just think that's really cool. So let's just go over just a few things. I've talked about some things before in the past, but what I like about this project, first of all, I just like how fun this course is. I'm serious, because right here they're telling you, what do you need to do before you get started? What does the project look like, right? What you're building. And then also too, again, we'll airdrop an NFT, connected wallet right here if you finish it within 7 days of the kickoff. I love that. Right? So then they're telling you again, like we were talking about, what is Web3. And I think that's really cool right there, because it's already getting you to start thinking about, what are we doing over here? What's going on? All of those things. And what I really like is when they're saying submit Web3 companies, then all they've got you is they're already generating content for their own brand too, by you needing to submit all of these things to go on. Super interesting. Think it's really good, and then goes from there. So it says so much to do. Being a web engineer in Web3 just means you can take your Web2 skills and apply them to Web3. So it says submit right here. It says, as always, looking to partner with Web3 companies to help devs. Any crypto company in particular you would like to add to the list? I'm just going to say Nansen, because I think that would be awesome. Let's do it. You do that. and then you go on to the next lesson. So they want you to, again, participate in all of these things. Now we'll actually talk about this. If people, have you done anything with Axie Infinity?
I own the coin.
How much or how often are you doing this? Just like one time, or are you going to keep doing it, or what?
No, I've already made 2 purchases in it, and I'm gonna keep buying in it.
Yeah, they've just popped off. The thing was, my friend was telling me about it in June and July, and he was like, "Listen, a bunch of now a lot of families are doing this in the Philippines. You need to go into it." And I was like, whatever. I was like, what? And that was before it jumped like 2,000%, like
Yeah,
2 months
actually.
later.
So I got it. We had a Bulls meeting, and Leon, he was like, "Everybody, we should get this." And I didn't even know what it did. I just bought it, and
Yeah.
it did very, 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 very well. And so I bought it again, and it continued to do well for me.
Yeah. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. It's just getting started. Really the power of what's going to be happening, but you're seeing now some of these structures and what they're doing with it. Very good. So right here, they're at first structuring basically, again, if we already know what NFTs are, what's going on with it. Not only that, looking at some of the ones that you can buy on OpenSea's second, on the secondary market, all of these things, which is very interesting. And then right here, they're talking about now structuring what's happening with IP and what you can be doing with these different things and how it actually makes sense as a game. Now, again, they're giving a great example of what's going on. And again, and this is why I like the course. Again, they're getting you to start looking at the white papers, starting to understand what this is about. Why is this happening? All of those things. So again, they're having all of the most relevant links in the material as well before you start going. So from there, it talks about, okay, building open games. He also is a huge fan of League of Legends and talking about that if it would ever go NFT. So that's pretty interesting. So right here, again, they're giving you a framework of why this is going to work in the game world, why this is real money, and why this is popping off. And then right here, they're talking about favorite video game. I'm gonna go with Final Fantasy 7. So I'm gonna go with that. Okay. So again, what I like about what they're doing here, let me go back to the project. They're really helping you to understand before you go into the section, so you have some kind of background information, knowing what's happening. And then they're talking about what you need to do. Now, if you're looking at this, the breakdown is shipping your NFT character system, shipping the game logic, shipping the web app, and then wrapping it up. So I like how they're breaking down. You need to have each section down pat before they go on. And logically, if we can't get through one thing, we can't get through the next. So right here, it's talking about get local environment all set up. This goes back again to everything that we talked about in the former videos I put out. But again, you're looking at, you got to write a smart contract, you got to deploy it, and then you're going to build a client website. So that way they can connect their Ethereum and everything like that. So you're going back into the same thing. So if you're not setting up your system, if you've never done this before, you have to be making you're going to have to first install Hardhat that allows you to create these smart contracts locally and go through the process. And this is really, if you've done any of the other projects in build space, you'll be able to get through this quicker. But if not, now you can jump in and go from here. So the reason I bring this up is even just going through this section, even if you don't feel like coding and you don't feel like, why do I need to know this? Even just understanding how a smart contract is operating and how they actually create them, how these companies are doing them. And this is on a smaller scale, but understanding how to do this, now you're so much farther ahead than what everyone else is doing. So that is for right now. I can go. Do you want me to go deeper, Brent, or how do you feel about this?
Are there anybody? Is anybody asking for the details of it? Because I
Let's
can't
see.
see the. I
Oh
can't see
yeah.
it.
Let's see about this. Ali saying,
Because
"Oh, Eli, that's interesting." Okay, okay, cool. Eli, thank you. So Eli is saying, "What language do they use to create smart contracts in Axie?" Oh, okay. Well, let's take a look. I don't know off the top of my head. Let's see.
and you mentioned hard hat too. Is hard hat a coin?
No. Hard Hat allows you to create the environment to set up smart contracts on your local machine.
Okay.
Hard Hat. Yeah. So if you go to hardhat.org, it allows you to build the environment. And so you can test it on a local network. So that way, before you put it on the real network, the main net, you can see, does it work? Is there any errors? Does this happen? And this is why you're putting it on Rinky Buy and you're putting it on things where you're already building it out and then going from there.
Okay.
Great question. Okay, let's see. Technology. Let's see. See, top technical. So I'm looking on Axie Infinity mechanism. I don't. Yeah. Let's see. Decentralized. We chose Ethereum back in 2018 due to the number of developers on the platform, the ability to recruit. Initial time passed, it became clear that the building of the blockchain game solely on Ethereum would not be feasible. We learned that while users care about blockchain technology, they're focused on the benefits. The mechanics of player to earn do not require fully decentralized public blockchain. That's interesting as well. So, scaling Axie, current blockchain stack, and then where it's going. Interesting. So, right here, Eli, here you go. So, the simple answer is probably because they're already using part of Ethereum and stuff like that. And you can see right here that they are using a lot of the same protocols or the way that it's structured. Yeah. Brent, does that make sense? Am I missing something if I'm explaining it that way?
No, no. I mean, nothing out. Granted, what you're saying now is kind of over my head, but for what I can tell, no.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's
But
like
literally, what I'm saying means nothing in your ecosystem right now. So,
I would say like basically it's built on that. That's the backbone. If you learn how to do, if you learned how to write it, and so if it's Ethereum, you're writing in Solidity. So Solidity is the language that you're writing for Ethereum, right? So so I would say if you're going to be learning how to program or do something like that, as long as you're learning how to use Solidity, you're going to be pretty much fine, from what I can tell. Um, Let me know if that makes sense, Eli. But yeah, and again, if you're in the build space one, you're using Solidity contract, you're using Solidity, you're writing that, and then you're using other deposits like you're using like Open Zeppelin stuff like that. Me too, though. From what I know, if Ethereum, right? Solidity, yeah, yes, yep, Solidity, yep, exactly. So, yeah, I don't see that big problem. Again, they're saying that they're changing it in a little bit, but a lot of these things, what's going on with Solidity and stuff like that, there's commonalities. It's kind of like so, like if you're like if you're doing Rails or if you're doing like Python, a lot of them, yes, it's different, like diction or like grammar, there's a
mhm.
structure, but like for the most part, if you understand one programming language, you understand the structure and then you can go another way. Now, keep granted, there are other languages that just have a lot more symbols or how you phrase it, but the way that you're going down line by line and using code, for the most part, if you understand one language, it is easier to transfer to another one. Same way when you're looking at like Solidity and you're writing in that one, you're going to be able to pick up these other ones because from what I found, a lot of them you're using the same, you know, diction. You're doing the same thing over and over again. And because this is so new, you're going to be able to pick it up. Like say for instance, if you're using VS Code, now they have a plugin for Solidity, so you can be looking at what the code looks like, to catch errors in Solidity versus, if you don't have that plugin and you're just writing code, you're not going to see the same errors. It's not going to catch it if you're using VS Code. Hopefully that helps. So, okay, so that was a really good question, actually. That was a really good question. Okay, so right here, I'll probably do in the full, I'll do this in my full run and everything. But just to let you know, this is just priming your machine. This is priming what you're going to be doing. And if you're not used to running this on your machine, you might have to go and install Yarn or do a few things if you've never tried to do anything in your terminal from your computer. So there's that. Again, running a basic contract, you're going to be doing that once you have Hard Hat installed. Setting up the setup data for the character NFTs. Actually,
Doc, question for
yeah.
you: when you build your own smart contract, is this something you need to go get an attorney for?
That's a good question. This is Wild West right now. I mean, if you want to, I'm sure, but and again, so I am not able to give legal counsel. I am not a lawyer, anything like that. What I have done talking to lawyers about NFTs and smart contracts, after I say like, this is what it is, they're like, I don't know anything about that.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I'm talking about ones that are in startups and in code. They're like, there's not a precedence to it. Could there be a framework of what's going to happen? Sure. Are there necessarily decisions made in court based off of smart contracts that are going to be able to, you could use as a legal defense if something goes wrong? Not that I'm aware of. Mm-hmm. So that doesn't mean you shouldn't. I'm all about lawyering up. But if you're saying like, what is going on from here, what's going on for there, that could be something else.
Well, no, I mean, I think it's going to be some people who watch this or who are going to be involved in our conversations. And the thought is, okay, a smart contract is legally binding. So does a lawyer have to write it? And, I was playing devil's advocate a little bit in that question. And I want everybody to know that these are legal contracts because it's a if-then statement. But then really I was kind of asking and I was kind of making a statement. It is absolutely what Doc said. It is the Wild, Wild West. So, if you're out there and you're right, oh, I'm going to write this smart contract real quick. Be careful what you're writing. Because, depending on what you publish to the world, you want to make sure you don't put yourself against a wall or, say something that you can't produce, or just be careful when you're writing.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point. Did you hear what happened with the crypto toads? Like just everything that went badly about it?
No.
Okay, that's a really good. No, it's not crypto. Hold on, I'm gonna get it from my Hold on.
But I do know. I mean, anytime you're writing a contract, and I've dealt with people who are in new businesses. I'm not even gonna say startup, just new businesses. And the initial thought is, well, I'm just gonna make the agreements myself. And they're not looking at what that does in regards to positioning them, or even from a cost standpoint, like how much it costs to write these things in. And it's just like, oh, I just wrote it. I didn't think, anything of it. All of a sudden you owe somebody $20,000 and you have $10 in your bank account.
Yeah. Yep. I'm looking for, there's a project that just came out. It's not Crypto Toads. That's the one that's just blowing up. There is another one that basically they're very close to, basically they've taken a lot of the look and feel of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and everything. Mm-hmm. And they're talking about what they do. It's an NFT, but it's also like staking involved and what they're going to do with the coin and everything. They're getting a lot of problems right now because what the NFT in the contract is one thing. They're saying they're going to be building out all these other things. It's not legal. Mm-hmm. And so because what they're saying, just like Brent was saying, it's still a contract. It's a smart contract. So because they're doing that and they're leaving a lot up and they're saying, it could change. Well, that's not legal. You can't do that because you're promising it's going to turn into something else without declaring what it is going to be. It's speculative. And so they were going to open it up and be on OpenSea. OpenSea banned them, actually. And not only
you got
that,
to protect the platform.
Yep. And they tried to do something else where, again, they were using a lot of the same IP, or it looked like they were using a lot of the same images as Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, but just a little bit off. They're using the same font, same color, same everything. They're it's hubris.
Yeah, I mean, and honestly, once you get, and that's where it goes into you start writing these smart contracts, and you're not thinking about what other real lawyers have written, and you get into some of these copyright infringement cases, and your thought is, oh, well, I didn't realize this color code, this hex code, can't be reproduced when using it for a turtle. It's like, no, this hex code is protected for use with the turtle. You can use it for a bird, but you can't use it for a turtle.
Yep.
And now all of a sudden you're like, well, why? And it really truly just know what you're doing when you start to play this game and you think, oh, it's Wild West, I could do what I want. No, I mean, really, what was I forget, the XRP was a cryptocurrency that was violating all kind of regulations around stock, and they were like, we're not stock, so we're just gonna keep going, and they got delisted. And not only were they delisted, it cost them like $100 million in fees and fines. So, just be careful.
Yeah. There's two questions, Lee. Great to see you today, too. So a couple things. Number one, Eli was talking about for your training on build space, are you guys using Python or JavaScript? So not in the contract. If we're using the aspect on the web client, so basically when we're using it in Replit, we're using JavaScript on the front end and also Next.js, depending on the exact project. So a lot of it is with JavaScript and CSS. The other part, it depends on the project. Some are using, like we did a project with Twitch and we use Next.js on the front end because then it's easier to add the API connection and everything like that because we were using Twitch in doing that kind of project. So yeah, great question. Yeah, so once you get to the part where we're on the shipping the web app, then we're using JavaScript and that kind of stuff. But we're using Replit, which is awesome. If some people have used it, if people haven't, that just means it's like Google. It's like a Word doc. It's instead of doing a one player mode, you're doing multiplayer mode for writing code, and they also just now made it friendly to write smart contracts too. So that's pretty awesome. Lee mentions real quick, hey, Doc and Brent, listening to your points about what to put in and not to put in the contract. Yeah, man. And two, that's why we're going to be having a new group, or we're going to be doing a premium group coming up, talking about keeping up with all these things, just things to consider. And then also too, if you're looking at it, that's why, and they mentioned a couple projects, if you're looking at like Open Zeppelin contracts, that is the building block that you're actually taking. So then you can be writing these smart contracts, not from scratch, but you're already having these templates that are written for smart contracts. That's where the majority of smart contracts are made now. They're using the structure of Open Zeppelin and then just changing some of the details, but that's the structure. Yep. So let's see. We're going to take a couple more questions too.
And Doc, can I let you field the last couple questions?
Yeah.
I need to jump into something, but I just wanted to say thank you for everybody who is checking us out. And that when we get to the premium group, we hope to see some of you all come over there. And we're going to start focusing on just the investing side and also exactly what we're doing now. Yep. Understanding the build and some of the details of it. But for those of you all who want to go deeper, Doc and I are really going to jump into the space, and anybody who wants to take that ride with us, I suggest you do. But as you know, and I know your followers, Doc, they all love you. I'm new to your ecosystem, and actually now some of my followers have found out that we do this, and they've been asking me questions about it. So I'm pulling mine over as well. But it's going to be a good ride. It's going to be definitely a good ride. So everybody, I'll see you later, and I'll let Doc field the rest of the questions.
Good times, man. All right, talk to you soon. All right, so what we're going to be going through, I see a couple more questions about just the course and everything like that. Lee, let me know, um did you already sign up for Build Space and everything like that? Let me know. Um I'm probably going to let's run through this a little bit. So I'm seeing some questions. Am I seeing questions on Twitter or am I seeing this? And also too, I like how Twitter came back with Twitter Live after banishing like Periscope, right? Now we're going to be looking at all of these things. So if you have any questions on Twitter and all those things, let me know. But yeah, let's go through this real quick. Let me make sure we're all set. Okay, cool. Not yet signed up for Build Space. No worries. Yeah. So we're gonna go through a couple because I said like I'm already gonna be building, so we're gonna go through a little bit right now. Notice you stream on Twitter. Yeah. So if you look at Twitter, just you know when the Periscope and everything like that. Yeah, I'm liking going back to Twitter. We're seeing, if it lands or something like that. Our main ecosystem is on YouTube. And again, we're still figuring things out. This is again, we made this full channel for only for smart contracts and NFTs and everything like that. Just because we're on the other YouTube channel and we saw our audience kind of not wanting to go this deep unless it's going to be with no code and in crypto, and we're just not there yet. So instead of confusing the audience, that's why we made this whole other channel, and also just giving me time to just do what I want on, on smart contracts and not worry about like, hey, is this too much? Like we can do whatever here. So we're going to be building this out and talking about it and looking at it. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen for a second, and we're going to go for full let's see about this. Share my screen in an entire window. Let's do entire window, screen one. And that way we can go back and forth. Oh, okay, cool. Okay, hide. All right, because I got to go into my terminal and stuff. So we can just knock this out. Okay, so the primer, we're going to first make a new directory and do some things. So let me open up the terminal and go from there. All right, so let's make a directory. So what I'm doing is right here, when it's saying make a directory, that just means I'm like making a new space for us to make this project. Hey, man. Marcos? What is it? Marcos? Marcos, nice to meet you. Nice to see you here. Okay, so we're making a directory here. Make sure here that we have everything. Okay, making a directory. Okay. We're going to change directory. That means we're going to be changing into the directory. So we're almost like imagining making the directory and then we're diving into it. We're going to just be installing some things here. Be installing the new hard hat stuff. Let's do this. Let's run this stuff. Okay, cool. And so right here where it's just saying like install, we're adding this stuff right here. Let's do it. All right, it's thinking about its live. Yeah, awesome. Some people coming over. How'd you find us? Marcos, how'd you find us? Well, if you're on the from the main channel and you're over here, thanks so much. If you're here from just watching about crypto, that's cool too. Okay, so right here, as you can see, I'm just running some stuff. Okay, cool. All right, that's good. Okay, so everything worked out. Saved it. I don't have any errors. New major. Okay, so new major version of now available. Okay. Then it says run this if I need to update it. So I'm just going to run it. Cool. Just to make sure I have everything. And then I'm gonna get the sample project. I'm just gonna do this right here. So I'm gonna get the sample project and then run it over there. Let me know if this makes sense. When I first did this the first couple of times, like it used to stress me out. When I was in the terminal the first time, I was like, this is insane. Just because I wasn't used to using these projects. That's fine. Let's see. Let's see about this. Let's see about this. Okay, did it finish? Okay, good time. Okay, so it's that one to complete the log. Okay, so it's that one. Okay, that's fine. Okay. All right, let's run it. And this over here. See if I can do it. Okay, cool. So now I got that. So it says get sample one. Okay, and then it says go ahead and install these dependencies just in case if we don't have them. So it's always good to have them. See what happens. Add that. And if you see where it's saying install contracts, right? So when we're installing contracts, remember, like I said, the Open Zeppelin ones, that's already giving us the framework for the contract that we need. All right, so we're adding some things. And remember, we're talking about, where it's the um the Open Zeppelin contracts. That one's already going to give us the framework of what we're going to be working on later on. And then it says run scripts and sample script.js. So we're going to grab that. And then we should be fine to be all set. Hopefully we don't have any errors. So we're going to go with that. See what else. I'm going to look into this. I had to actually get some of this. Let's see how to get started with this. While we're waiting, we'll just kind of look through this. Create a Ronin wallet. Get Axes. Account creation. Download and play. Create a Ronin wallet. Okay. It's a virtual world full of fierce, adorable creatures called Axes. All right, let's take a look. Well, I got time. Let's take a look. All right, so I got to do this. So I got to get this thing. 2 million users. So this is a Ronin wallet. Interesting. Add extension. I might do some of this, on my other screen, so I'm not showing too much. Oh, how do I do that? Ronin. How do I spell that? Okay, cool. Okay. Yeah, I'm probably going to do this on my other screen. So, as we're waiting. Okay. See where we at. Okay, cool. All right. So we're done with that. Let's add the contracts. Adding the contract. And on the other screen, I am just getting started with this wallet, making this. I'm new. Okay. 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 So now it's moving stuff around. Okay. Putting this here. Just moving some stuff for Ronan right now. Gotta bring up Slack. Gotta put this on the other screen. Not now. Blah 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 blah. Yep. Okay, cool. All right. All right, let's go back here. So I just all that stuff in. Now I'm gonna run the hard hat. See for the sample. Let's go from here. What does it say? So it says script does not exist. So we've had this happen before. One added contributor. 118 packages are looking for funding. Okay. Fund vulnerables. Okay. So it says, all right. So it says it does not exist. Let's take a look. So this happens. So let's go check what happened. I've had this one happen to me before. Try to use hard hat to run. Yeah. HH601 script does not exist. Try to use hard hat to run execute non-script. Okay, double check your script path. Okay, so this has happened when I was trying to do this 2 projects ago and we had to change the whole thing. I wonder why this happened again. So let's take a look. Where's my build space unicorn? Okay. Minting. Where was this problem? What do we have to do? Script doesn't exist. Is that the same error I just got? Yeah. So we had this happen last time. All right. So how do we deal with it? Okay. Solution. Are you in the right directory? What is the directory? How can I find out? Enter in the terminal. Okay. Okay. So we're going to switch over to see if we're going to be in the right directory. Okay. Okay. So right here, we're in Epic Games. So we're in the right one. We're in the right directory. CD is changed directory, but we're in the right one. We're still having trouble with that. Okay. So let's try this again. We're going to go back. We're going to run this thing again. See what happens. Let's take a look. Again. So that's interesting. This is the second time you've had the same exact error. Let's see. Let's go back. Things I learned. Problems installing hard hat. So we had that one. Solution Justin had to walk through it to install individual files in hard hat. So this goes back into it again. We might have to install individual files, which is a pain in the neck. Installing individual. This is the second time the same exact thing is happening. Okay, we're gonna go from here. Again, we had to clear this up. I'm gonna be back with this. We had to go through a whole process of this. I don't know why it does this. Same exact thing happened on the last project. Okay. All right. And again, this is why we say to be continued. What are we looking at? And again, as I'm having problems, that's why I'm documenting all these different things. 601 mint an NFT locally. Did I? Okay, cool. Yeah. Okay, so I did that. You know what though? Epic. No, because the other one was Epic NFT. I was thinking, did I have the wrong thing? Okay, so let's do this. We're going to change directory again. change directory into Epic Games. Epic Game. Okay, so we're no file directory. Okay, that's fine. Because then I would say I'm changing directory, but I'm already in it, so I don't need that. Okay, so I'm gonna run it again. If this doesn't work, then we're just gonna have to go back and install directly like each file, but I don't know how to do that, so I have to get help again. Yeah, we're getting the same error. All right, y'all. So this is again, you're seeing it in real time what you have to deal with some of these projects. Yeah, it is not sample script. I'll put sample script. Jazz. Let's make sure. If some stuff in your terminal about deploy, this means your local environment is set up. It just, I wonder why it has so much trouble like that. Okay, we'll get this worked out. Okay, cool. With the sample script JS, why does that happen again? Okay, so we're going to work on this a little bit more. I'm also going to have everything once I get Ronin set up, and then we can start, you know, building and doing everything like that. We'll have everything all worked out. But this is a part of the game. This is the part of what you got to do. All right, y'all. So thanks so much for watching. We're going to be back soon. If you like these kind of videos, if this is helpful, let me know. If you find this annoying or want other things answered, let me know as well. But thanks for being on the journey. You see exactly in real time what I'm working on, what it would look like. But again, I definitely don't know everything, and so I just need help. So I'm gonna go get help, and then we're gonna go to this next section to make sure that we're. I'll get you answers, and you can be building with me. All right, everybody. Thanks so much for watching and for being a part of this. If you like it, make sure you like and subscribe, and tell other people about what we do on this channel. Sign up for Build Space. They're not a sponsor, but they're great people, and we'll talk to you guys next time. All right, everybody. Have a wonderful day.